Imagine it's 2026. You're standing under those bright Apple Store lights, holding two very different ideas of the future. In one hand is the iPhone Fold, the device everyone has been talking about for years. A bendable screen, a new form factor. The kind of phone that makes people stop and stare the moment you open it. In the other hand is the iPhone 18 Pro Max. At first glance, it looks familiar, almost boring even, like Apple played it safe again. But here's the twist that might surprise you. If you care about iPhone photography, if you're the type of person who notices skin tones, dynamic range, highlight roll-off, low light noise, and that moment when the camera either nails the shot or ruins it, the iPhone 18 Pro Max might be the phone that matters more than the iPhone Fold. Because while the internet obsesses over folding screens and futuristic designs, Apple appears to be quietly aiming at something far more important for real-world users, making the best smartphone camera system feel less like a phone camera and more like a "why would I even bring my other camera?" camera. And if the current iPhone 18 Pro Max rumors are accurate, 2026 could bring two major camera upgrades that change how you shoot, not just how your phone looks in your hand. On top of that, there are 3 battery improvements being discussed that could finally solve a long-time problem for creators. Better cameras are great, but they usually cost power. Apple may be preparing an iPhone that shoots more and lasts longer at the same time. Now let's address the big question right away. Why would anyone choose a normal-looking iPhone over a futuristic folding iPhone? The answer comes down to physics and priorities. Foldable phones are engineering miracles, but they come with trade-offs that most people don't think about until they actually use one. A foldable needs a hinge system. It needs structural reinforcement. It often needs multiple display layers and additional internal components just to make the folding experience possible. That hardware takes space, and when space gets tight, the first thing that usually gets compromised is camera hardware. Bigger sensors, larger optics, improved stabilization, thicker lens assemblies. The stuff that separates pretty good photos from consistently incredible ones. Think of it like trying to build a professional camera into a super thin wallet. You can do it, but something has to give. Lens size, sensor size, periscope zoom complexity, thermal headroom for long video, even battery capacity to sustain camera processing. Foldables can absolutely take great photos, but the internal design constraints are real. That's where a device like the iPhone 18 Pro Max could become the quiet winner for anyone who takes photography seriously. If Apple sticks to a more traditional Pro Max design, they don't have to dedicate internal space to a folding mechanism. They can use that space where it matters most for image quality, the camera system, and the power system behind it. And according to multiple leaks and reports, Apple may be planning exactly that, starting with a feature mobile photographers have wanted for years. The first rumored upgrade is variable aperture, and it's hard to overstate how big this could be if Apple brings it to the iPhone 18 Pro Max. Right now, when you take a photo with the iPhone's main camera, you're basically using a fixed aperture. That means the camera's opening that lets light in doesn't really change the way it does on traditional cameras. In simple terms, it's like having pupils that never adjust. Same size in bright sunlight, same size in a dim restaurant, same size at golden hour, same size at night. Computational photography helps a lot. Apple's image processing is among the best in the business. But even the smartest processing can't always replace the physical advantages of optical control. Variable aperture would give the iPhone 18 Pro Max a new kind of flexibility. The ability to physically change how much light enters the camera and how depth of field behaves. And that translates into real, everyday benefits you can see immediately. Picture a portrait of someone sitting near a window. With variable aperture, Apple could allow the iPhone to open up the lens to create more natural background blur. Real, optical separation, not just software guessing edges around hair and glasses. It could look more like a dedicated camera shot, even without portrait mode. Now flip the scenario. You're traveling, taking a landscape photo, foreground flowers, a city skyline, mountains in the distance. Instead of the phone always leaning on processing tricks, a variable aperture system could stop down to keep more of the scene sharp from front to back. That's the kind of control photographers have used for decades, and if Apple makes it easy, if it happens automatically when it should and manually when you want, it could make iPhone photography feel dramatically more camera-like, without becoming complicated. And what makes this rumor especially interesting is that it just won't go away. People expected variable aperture to show up earlier. Many watchers thought it might arrive with the iPhone 17 Pro lineup. It didn't. But instead of disappearing, the reports have gotten louder and more consistent. Analysts and leakers who frequently track Apple's supply chain have repeatedly mentioned variable aperture as a feature being targeted for the iPhone 18 generation. And more recently, another well-known source has claimed Apple is actively testing iPhone prototypes that already include variable aperture hardware. That detail matters because it shifts the story from Apple is thinking about it to Apple is building it and trying it. And then comes the question Apple always forces us to ask: will this be on both Pro models, or will Apple keep it exclusive? Apple has a history of using the Pro Max as the first stop for its biggest camera upgrades. Bigger phone, more internal room, better thermals, larger battery, more space for complex lens systems. If variable aperture needs extra hardware or benefits from extra space, don't be surprised if the iPhone 18 Pro Max gets it first, with the smaller iPhone 18 Pro either getting a different version or missing it entirely at launch. But even if it's Pro Max only, that could make the iPhone 18 Pro Max the clear choice for anyone whose phone upgrade decisions revolve around camera performance. Now let's talk about the second rumored camera upgrade, because this is the one that could change how you shoot. In situations where iPhones still struggle, the telephoto camera. Telephoto is the zoom lens, the camera you rely on when you can't get closer. Concerts, sporting events, street photography, travel shots, portraits with flattering compression, wildlife photos, kids on a stage, moments you can't repeat. Current iPhones have improved a lot, but telephoto has a weak spot that shows up the moment lighting gets difficult. The reason is simple. Zoom lenses often have narrower apertures, which means they let in less light. Less light means the phone has to raise ISO, slow shutter, or rely on heavier processing. And that often leads to softness, grain, motion blur, and the kind of image that looks fine on a small screen but falls apart when you zoom in. Right now, recent iPhone Pro Max telephoto lenses are rumored to sit around an f2.8 aperture. That number is more important than most people realize. In photography, smaller f numbers generally mean wider apertures, and wider apertures mean more light. The iPhone 18 Pro Max is rumored to bring a telephoto lens with a wider aperture. If that's true, it could be a night and day difference for zoom photography. Imagine being at a concert and actually getting sharp, clean photos of the performer from the back of the venue, without the image turning into a noisy, smeared mess. Imagine shooting a city skyline at night with real detail at zoom levels you'd normally avoid. Imagine photographing wildlife at dusk, when animals are active but light is fading, and getting results that don't look like watercolor. A brighter telephoto lens can also improve more than just brightness. It can improve autofocus performance in low light. It can reduce the need for aggressive sharpening and noise reduction, and it can create more natural background separation in zoomed shots, which makes portraits feel more cinematic and less phone-like. This also matters competitively because telephoto performance, especially in challenging lighting, has been an area where some Android flagships have occasionally outperformed iPhones. Samsung and Google have put serious focus on zoom, sensor, cropping, and computational telephoto tuning. Apple doesn't like being second best in a category as visible as smartphone cameras, and the iPhone 18 Pro Max could be the model where Apple decides to close that gap in a very hardware-forward way.